Hi, dear friends. I am GANEL-LYN and I am joining you live today from a rainy Lehi, Utah. I have had a really intense cold and been sick for a few days. And so you're getting me in complete authenticity. And I hope you can hear me because I've also had a lot of speaking and TV and other events where I've had to use my voice. And so it's a little, I have tried to not use it all day this morning so that I'd have a voice for you today to share a message on this very important and special day for those, especially in America, but I believe all over the world. Today is September 11th. I cannot believe it's been 18 years. My heart is tender as I consider where I was 18 years ago and my little boy who's now not so little. And I think it's appropriate that September is also Suicide Prevention Month. Yesterday was Suicide Prevention Day. This week is Suicide Prevention Week. And so as I've prayed and pondered about sharing a message with you today, I wanted to be sensitive to those areas, specifically suicide prevention and the work that I have embarked on in the last 5 years since my own sister took her life 5 years ago. For those that are familiar with me and Women of Worth and have been here in the past, you know I have spoke of her often. She is, and her death is one of my big whys and how come I do the work I do as a speaker and writer. So if you're new to Women of Worth or new to High Five Live, please make sure you know that you are welcome here, and we hope that you find hope and faith. The message I want to share today is the value and worth of just one. I think in this world of likes and followers and Instagram and YouTube channel and movie star and professional athletes, it's easy to get our worth confused. And we think somehow that our worth is based on what we produce, what grades we get, what our raise at work is, what choices our children make. And I think until we lose someone, we don't maybe always conceptualize the worth of one soul. And I think September 11th is a perfect day to share a message about that. Because as we know from that day, we lost many people. And there's no one, as I've said many times, no one is extra. We are all of loved, beloved daughters and sons of God. And so when one of us is gone, it's a loss for all of us. I had a dream, it was probably over a year and a half ago, about a dear friend of mine, and I was trying to recall if I had shared this story, if I have already. You know, after almost, a year and a half of, we're approaching 2 years of the Women of Worth show, I've shared a lot of messages. So if I've shared this before, forgive me, but I don't recall that I have. I had a dream about a dear friend of mine, Carrie. She is what maybe the world would consider just an ordinary mom and wife, daughter, aunt, quietly the worker bee. She's never cured cancer, built a big school in Africa, solved world peace problems, been on the cover of a magazine. And I think if you know Carrie and you had a conversation with her, she would tell you that she's fairly ordinary. I think she's extraordinary. We were made visiting teaching companions, oh man, a long time ago. I would say almost 20 years ago. And Carrie and I both share some things in common. We've struggled with chronic illness. We've lost sibling to suicide. And sorry, my nose is going to run, and I'm in my pajamas. Yes, I am in my pajamas. Because at the Women of Worth show, we are completely authentic and honest. So this is what you're getting. But Carrie has always impressed me and inspired me. She lives the gospel. She holds fast to her covenant. She served a mission. She's continuing to raise a righteous family. She has some children that are married and out of the home. And she has faced maybe some of the same things that Women of Worth viewers have faced. You know, the normal humanity, but some extraordinary things as well. One night I had a dream about this extraordinary woman. And in the dream, unfortunately, it was her funeral. And it was one of those dreams that was so real, I was crying in my sleep. And the church building where her funeral was packed with people. It was so full. And her children were there and her grandchildren were there, which should have comforted me because she didn't have a whole bunch of grandchildren at this point of the dream. And you know how when you're in a dream, you can totally like get a sense of this person was her Cub Scout. This person was in nursery when she was a nursery leader. This was her neighbor that she used to take a casserole to. I had that sense in the dream that all of these people were just part of stewardship she had had. And the loss was so immense. The impact she had had on the world was so obvious in this building, as you saw. And I'm crying as if this really happened, but the dream was so real. And the point of this dream was so powerful for me. I took a few days to call her and tell her about this dream because I knew she had always been the Cub Scout leader and always been the one to offer to take a casserole to the neighbor, always been the one to volunteer at the school. And in this dream, you could see the ripple effect of her just showing up and the impact it had had. And so I called my sweet friend Carrie and I started to cry. I said, I had a dream about you the other night. And in the dream, unfortunately, it was your funeral. And it was overwhelming, the impact you had had on the planet that day. It was a celebration of you and the good you have done. And it was obvious for me in the dream that you left this earth life not realizing what a woman of worth you were. And I just wanted to testify to her of the impact she had had on the planet by simply being a Cub Scout leader, volunteering at nursery, trying to raise her family the best she could, messing up, struggling, fighting, trying to have faith and live the gospel and keep her covenants when it wasn't always easy. And I just wanted her to know that. She got emotional and tender with me and shared some feelings about how important the timing of that message was. So I know I don't usually get revelation through dreams like Lehi and some of my other friends, but once in a while, Heavenly Father shares and shows me important principles through my dreams. And that day, that night, I was shown the value of one soul, the worth and impact of one woman quietly going about her business and just showing up in her life the best she could. It had changed the world, and this dream had shown me that. And Heavenly Father, I believe, wanted my friend Carrie to know that she has great worth and you have great worth. As always, when I share a story or a message here on Women of Worth, I love to bring in a story from the scriptures. And so as you see the title of this as a little teaser, the Bible has some dicey stories, and one that helped me really see the value of the worth of one soul, what one individual can do, is found in the story of Rahab. And this story is of Joshua, and he had sent spies into Jericho, and they had gone and stayed at the house of Rahab. Now, Rahab was a prostitute. And I think it's important to note this because I just shared this story of this wonderful, brilliant, amazing daughter of God, Carrie. And now she's lived her life and she's tried to live the gospel and she's tried to be a good neighbor and a good mom and a good wife. But many, if not all of us, feel like we're not always doing great. We're not always living the commandments and serving missions and raising our kids, having family home evening and doing come follow me and reading our scriptures and going to the temple and all those things. Sometimes we feel like we're a big mess up. And how could we be helping impact the world at all? And so that's why I want to talk to you about this prostitute Rahab. Because I'm sure in her culture, like today, she may not have been celebrated for her life choices. But as these spies came, her quick thinking gave them time and opportunity to get back to their camp. In return, she asked that they would spare her family from death. So the spies guaranteed her safety as long as her family remained in her home during this big onslaught. And the signal for that, if you know the story of Rahab, was to tie a red rope or scarlet rope in her window, and then they would know this is the house. When the city of Jericho was being taken, Rahab and her family were rescued and led out of this place outside of the camp. And later, this is the thing. This is the sweet part of this story, is Rahab had helped these spies and helped Joshua and in this taking of Jericho. But Rahab later became the wife of Salmon. And I don't know if I'm saying it right or I just have a really bad runny nose and cold. The great-great-grandmother of the King of David is who she became. And that, if you know your Bible genealogy, means she was the ancestor of Jesus Christ. Believers of the Bible can read of Rahab's life and story and see her either as a prostitute or a woman of faith. And most of us are a combination of goods and bads and humanness and natural man and divine nature. And we're wrestling as we're here on earth to try to make an impact and do good. So my message to you is that no matter where you're at, and I hope you'll share this message with another person that is coming to your heart and mind that may need to know that they are mistaken if they think they're just living an ordinary, quiet life and not changing the world as a stay-at-home mom, volunteering at the school, helping in nursery, a grandma, an aunt who's never had children, who tries to show up for her nieces and nephews. Whoever you are, I hope that you'll think of one person and share maybe in the comments who has had an impact on your life. I've shared with you one person that has had an impact on mine. That's my friend Carrie. And I'll be tagging her or sharing this with her so I don't embarrass her and put her out to the public. But she's inspired me because on the days that I've gotten tired, and wondered if I was making a difference, or when my faith has been shaky, she's one of my faith friends because I know she's working through her things. She's struggling and showing up to hold fast steadfastly to the iron rod every day. So I turn to her when my faith gets weak. In my book, I think you can see the cover right there. You Are Magnificent. I talk about finding faith friends, and I think it's important, especially as we talk about suicide prevention, that we have 3 to 5 SOS friends, faith friends that are working on their faith that you can turn to and say, I'm tired. And you will know that you are of great worth, that you don't have to have a big YouTube channel subscription base or be on the front of a magazine or have an important calling in your ward. You don't have to be training for a marathon or getting a degree to be of worth. And simply like Rahab, when we open our hearts to help people that are in need, and sometimes it's someone you're going to see at the grocery store today, maybe it's your neighbor, maybe it's someone in your extended family that's coming to your heart and mind today. Maybe you can share this message with them and tell them that you see worth in them, that you value their life. And I hope that it doesn't take funerals for us to express our love to people. I'm grateful that my friend Carrie is still here and affecting change in her circle, her stewardship assignments. And maybe you think that's too small. I'm sure Rahab didn't think of herself as a great faith leader, a heroine, a warrior. I'm sure that because of where she was at in her life at the time, that she helped those spies, that she was anything but extraordinary. And I hope today that you feel the spirit of this message regarding your worth, and that you will be reminded that you are of divine worth, and that it's not based on your performance and what you do in the world. And I hope, especially this month of September, that you If you're struggling with depression or anxiety, you will know that you are not extra, that we need you, that you are of value, and that you being here is needed, and that as you fight and you get tired, remember you're building those spiritual, emotional, mental muscles that will one day help rescue. I know someone in need, a spy that might come to your door. So I hope that you will continue to join us here on High Five Live. I hope that my runny nose and my throat has not distracted from the spirit of this message, and that I hope that you will know that you are loved, especially here at the Women of Worth show. You are of great worth, and we all are. And so often we get confused and lost, and it takes one person to remind us that we are of worth. And I hope you feel that always here, no matter what messages we're sharing and what guests we have. Thank you for joining me today.